Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. I'm your host, Anish Gupta.
And I'm Shrikar Rajendran.
The OG duo, it's back, man. I had to literally plow this man out from the underworld, but we're finally here.
Chill.
We're here. We're both moved in. Shriek, why don't you tell them a little bit about the setup? You're in a house now, right? No more dorm with the fan in the background.
I'm in a house. I don't have to worry about anyone coming into my room while we're recording, and I have to edit the footage and get it on. It was a nightmare, okay? I'm in a house now, so it's nice. I don't have any sort of decor up. You will not see any Niner stuff
I need
in
to
here.
put some up too. I'm repping today, but I
might just leave the room blank for now. I might add to it. It might evolve as we keep doing these. You'll see a difference. But
he just adds new Niners gear for each win because you know how well they're gonna do this year. But yeah,
I like the setup, and I'm excited to get started. It's a new season.
Let's just jump right into it, man. So yeah, I think as you can tell by the title, it's gonna be awards, our award predictions, and we're finally back with our weekly picks. That's my favorite segment. So we're gonna save that. We're gonna go right into award predictions first. Let's go offensive rookie of the year. I'll let you start because there's kind of some chalk options, and do you have a sleeper in mind?
I'll go chalk. I'll say Bijan Robinson. I think him with Arthur Smith and all the weapons that Atlanta already has to kind of take some attention off of him, it's going to work in his favor. I do kind of worry about the amount of rushing touchdowns he's going to have because when they get to the goal line, are they going to put in Algier, maybe in red zone work as well? But I mean, as a player, Bijan Robinson is just too tantalizing just not to take for offensive rookie of the year. So I'll go with the favorite. I think a big favorite. And I'll go with Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, for anyone who is looking for like a maybe sleeper, I'm going chalk also. I'm going Bijan. I mean, I took him sixth overall in my fantasy draft literally yesterday in like a 12-man PPR. So that's how high I am on him. But yeah, I think in an Arthur Smith offense that just runs it like crazy. They were a top 5 offense in rushing anyway last year, and then you add probably one of the most talented backs in the last 5 years to come out of college. It's going to be pretty devastating for opposing defenses. So yeah, I'm going Bijan. I think a sleeper for me, obviously Shriek knows it's Zay Flowers. I'm super high on him. Also, don't rule out Jordan Addison, but I think those would probably be the top 3 in my mind. But I'll go Bijan at 1.
And something we didn't even mention that helps Bijan's case is he's running behind a top 10 O-line, arguably. So I think that also helps.
I think, forget top 10, I think they could make a case for top 5. Like
sure.
that
helps really the case. Yep.
Yeah. So Falcons are going to be sneaky. This is a team that, I think some people are higher than others. I don't know if they're the favorites to win the South, but I know they're definitely in the top 2. So we'll see how they do. Let's move on to defensive rookie of the year. I'm going to start. I will go a little bit off script, and I'm going to take Jack Campbell. I think Will Anderson should be the favorite. And again, I think he's looked really good in the preseason. But you know how these awards kind of work. For example, when Shaq Leonard, excuse me, the last time I believe a linebacker won the Defensive Rookie of the Year, his team made the playoffs, right? And the Colts kind of shocked everybody and did that. I think a little bit of that team success is going to play into this award, and I think Jack Campbell, who is playing linebacker for a defense that really hasn't had a true star in quite a while, like probably Ndamukong Suh or like Darius Slay is the last guy I can think of. So if Jack Campbell kind of comes onto the scene along with Aiden Hutchinson, I think Jack Campbell could receive some Defensive Rookie of the Year votes.
I think you bring up a good point with the team success, but I don't know. For me, I just wasn't a big fan of the Jack Campbell pick. I feel like Drew Sanders is the better linebacker, but that's neither here nor there.
Whoa.
That's neither here nor there.
Okay.
If I was going off team success, I would actually, even though it's really hard for a corner to win, I would say Devon Witherspoon. That could be a possible pick. But if I'm not going off team success and I'm just going off what my gut tells me, I'm going to say Will Anderson. This is another chalk pick. I think he's going to have a big rookie year. He's going to be the number 1 pass rusher for the Texans, who I think could be better than expected. I say they will be better than expected. I think this could be like a 6 or 7 win team. And edge rush guys, they normally just produce like immediately. And especially when you're bringing in a guy who has the tools that Will Anderson does, his physicality, his athleticism, I think he could total double-digit sacks in this season, which, in my opinion, would give him the easy path to Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I think he's should be and probably will win it. But you never know. I think yeah, Witherspoon would probably have to have like a Sauce type of like year for him to win it. Like, so that's why I think it's unlikely. But Jack Campbell, I've seen a lot of good tape, at least in the past few weeks. So we'll see. But yeah, I mean, obviously that's spoiling a little bit of my highness on the Lions. But yeah, I think Will Anderson probably will win it, but it's always nice to throw in a sleeper in there. Next one is going to be Offensive Player of the Year. Shriek, let's hear what you got.
Um, for what it's worth, Justin Jefferson could win this again, but I don't think he will. I'm not going to pick it to happen because I think only two guys have ever won back-to-back Offensive Player of the Year. I don't remember the names, but I know that there's two.
Peyton was one.
Yeah, I don't think J. Jeff will do it again. I'm gonna say Tyreek. I'll say Tyreek Hill. He said he was gonna put up 2,000 yards this year. There's nothing that is telling me that he can't do that. So Tua, hopefully, if he stays healthy all season, he knows what Tyreek can do. He's gonna get the targets. We'll probably see, a couple of like explosion type games, like we're talking like 200+ yard games from him, and that'll help his case. He'll have his moments. I think Tyreek, he's due for an Offensive Player of the Year. I think this might be the year for him to get it.
Wow, thanks for stealing. I knew I should have gone first. I got my pick stolen. Yeah, I was gonna go Tyreek also, just because he should have won it last year anyway. Because if it wasn't for Tua missing like 4.5 games, he would have cleared the 2,000 yard mark. So I don't even think Justin Jefferson technically should have won it last year, but obviously the chips fell the way they did. But yeah, I think he'll win it this year. Again, pretty much everything that Shrikar said I agree with. I'll throw a sleeper out there though, and I feel like very few people talk about it. I think Travis Kelce should always be in that conversation for Offensive Player of the Year. Like, he is so important to what they do. I said it last year, I think. Like, I was like, if I had a vote, I would give it to Travis Kelce, and I'm just going to throw him in there again. I think he's going to be super dynamic for the Chiefs, and I mean, I don't really see how you can't expect him to do what he's been doing for literally the last 8 years. Like, 8 years of pure consistency. Knock on wood, he continues to do it. But yeah, I think for what it's worth, Travis should always be a sleeper. Again, tight ends don't really get that much love, but for me, Travis Kelce is just on another level.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think his name is just always up there, but no one is actually like putting him in their top three. Like, that's what it is. He's always on the borderline or the outskirts of that range.
I think it's because like a running back or a receiver like has just some crazy year.
It's all about
right?
position.
So, exactly. So like, but if Kelce breaks some records as a tight end, oh, okay. Now you start to think, okay, then you got to give it to him. Let's move on to Defensive Player of the Year. Look, I don't want to keep picking it because it's like, dude, every time Myles Garrett has been a favorite, something bad happens and he just like loses the award. So you know what? I'm just gonna do it again and not pick him. I'm gonna pick Micah Parsons. I think he's pretty much the favorite. And why wouldn't he be, right? Like, he's in my opinion, I think he's better than Nick Bosa. And now they're gonna put him. They're gonna fully put him at edge. And obviously, at snap counts that he got at edge, he was honestly the most effective edge rusher aside from Myles. So now you're going to see what he can do with full-time edge reps. I still think they should play him at linebacker too, but my one knock on him anyway was that he was a little too instinctive in the draft, but that doesn't change the fact he's one of the most polarizing defensive prospects I ever watched. So yeah, I think Parsons should be everyone's favorite for Defensive Player of the Year.
Well, if you're not going to take Myles Garrett, I'll take Myles Garrett. I think it is literally just about time Garrett wins something. It feels like he's been in the league like forever, but he doesn't have a Defensive Player of the Year. But I mean, he's due for it, right? It's kind of like Joel Embiid in the NBA. Like, he's going to win it. Back-to-back seasons with 15+ sacks. Now you have additions here with Zadarius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson. What is that going to do for him? It's only going to help. It's going to take some pressure off of him. So if he stays fully healthy the entire season, I think Myles Garrett could put up a 20+ sack season. And if he does that, I think he's going to nab the Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah, let's hope for no COVID, no helmet hitting, and no hamstring injuries. Let's just hope for that, and then we could probably get it.
Yeah, I just knocked on wood, so there you go.
All right, well, we'll move on and go to the comeback player of the year. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I think we all know it's probably going to be Damar Hamlin, and I don't want to take anything away from him. I just think that other players should also be thrown out there. So I'll throw it out there as well. Calvin Ridley, I'm really high on him. I think he's going to be really electric in this offense. Especially just schematically. I always had a knock on him in Atlanta. I thought, against corner ones, he would struggle a little bit. But in the scheme that Doug Peterson runs, I think Calvin's going to do really well. So
besides the Jack Campbell pick, I don't think we've really differed all that much because those Damar Hamlin and Calvin Ridley are also my top two. And shout out to Damar Hamlin, by the way. I think that's still an incredible story. I remember when Alex Smith won Comeback Player of the Year, I thought it was well-deserved. And I think for Damar Hamlin, I truly think that it's going to be deserved. That he even got back onto the field is a miracle. So shout out to Damar Hamlin and Calvin Ridley. Again, what can he do with Trevor Lawrence here? Obviously, we know what he did with Matt Ryan in 2020. I think he could be really, really dangerous. So I'm in agreement with those two picks there.
I'll throw this out there, though. I think Smith also won it because he played and was 5-1 as a starter. Like, he still, played and won some games. So, I think Damar Hamlin also needs to play for them, right, in order to, kind of win it. So that's just a little caveat in there that you should throw. Sleeper also could be Kupp if Kupp plays the whole year. He missed 8 games last year, so that's also one that you could throw out there. But, yeah, I think it's probably going to go to Damar Hamlin. This is kind of an award that, is based on narratives and stories. We've seen that each of the last, 3-4 years, so I don't really see it changing.
Yeah, if Ridley comes out with just no rust at all and shows that he's still the player he was the last time he played, I think he's got a really good shot at getting Comeback Player of the Year.
All right, let's move on to Coach of the Year. Now, I'm going to let you go first on this one because before the video, Shriek was like, I have no clue who I'm going to take.
I still have no clue.
All right, well, I got mine. I hope you don't take it, but I got mine.
I'm not. I'll throw a few names out there so you can have your moment. One I'll put out there is Dan Campbell. I think if the Lions make the playoffs and the drought, I actually think that would be my pick. But a couple other names I was thinking about. Matt LaFleur, if he takes the Packers to the playoffs with Jordan Love, who is a relative unknown. I mean, I'm high on Jordan Love. I think he's gonna be really good, but I think that would warrant at least some consideration. A guy like Mike McDaniel or Robert Saleh, if either one of those teams wins the AFC East, I think you've got a great claim to the award there. But I think as of right now, I'll go with Dan Campbell. I don't know if he's the favorite. I actually don't know who's the favorite for Coach of the Year. But I think he should be, especially because that drought is just so long for the Lions. I've seen all the memes, and I think the way that he's changed this culture, this whole program, I don't think anyone else would deserve it if the Lions made the playoffs.
That would probably be a good pick. I just realized, yeah, so last year it was Dable, right? And Dable kind of took a, bad team and kind of took him to the playoffs. So yeah, that narrative that Danny Campbell, that's definitely one. You think I'm going to pick Frank Reich, and I think Frank Reich is an option, depending on how well the Panthers do, but I'm rolling with Doug Peterson. I think if the Jags, I almost went back to 2020. If the Jags do as well as I think they're going to do, why not? Why shouldn't Dougie P get it if the Jags are a 12+ win team? So yeah, I think Doug Peterson is definitely one of my ones up there. I think Dan Campbell is a really good one just based on how the award has been picked, right? Each of the last couple of years, Stefanski won it for doing the same thing you just mentioned. Dable just won it for the same thing you mentioned. And if anyone's going to do it like that, it would be Dan or even Saleh, right? Saleh would be the same one if the Jets make the playoffs and win the AFC East. I think if they win the AFC East, I think Saleh's a lock. But I've seen some people be not as high on Saleh, and maybe we can talk about this when we talk about the Jets, but I've heard that if they go 0-4, his time in New York may be up, especially because he is a defensive guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think for this whole year he's safe. If things turn out bad next year, that's when we'd start having that conversation. That's when the
Yeah.
seat would warm. But for this year, this is the first year of Aaron Rodgers, right? You need to acclimate to that. That's a pretty big change.
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't think his seat is going to be hot. Maybe until like the second half of this year, if the Jets are just awful, last in the division, not even competing. But I don't think that's going to be the case, anyways.
Yeah, he also turned around the defense and made it like top 3,
Yeah.
so that's definitely something to his resume.
Mhm.
All right. MVP. Um I'll take this one first. Look, I think probably one of like the most documented take I think I've ever had in my life, like doing a pod or even talking about sports, has been Carson Wentz winning the MVP in 2020. I don't think like I think everybody I know that I talk sports with knows about that one take. And it's like I've done pretty well. I've been pretty accurate with a lot of stuff. Like, but that one thing has been like just an absolute thorn in like any credentials I have had. So yeah, with that being said, obviously I think for those who watch the show, they know how, I've kind of got a new guy. Trevor Lawrence has kind of been the same, on the same pedestal that I had Carson Wentz at one point. And the question really comes down is like, do I do it, and do I risk jinxing a guy who I'm super high on? And you know what? I'm gonna do it. Like I really want this to pan out, and I really believe in it. It's not something that the only reason I probably wouldn't have said it was because I would jinx it. But I'm so high on Trevor Lawrence as a player, as a quarterback. I think for those who know, I think I've got him like in my top 4. I think he's gonna win the MVP. I really do. So yeah, there you go. He was second in passer rating, first in touchdown interception ratio for the final 12 games. That's including his 4 interception first half. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence is going to win the MVP, and I'm going to be right. He's going to give me my revenge for the Carson Wentz take. Knock on wood for that.
A shocker from Goop. I literally this entire summer, that's the only take I heard. So I'm not surprised he went with Lawrence. Honestly, I could just say Patrick Mahomes, but I don't like want to, like, because voter fatigue is really the only thing that's gonna hold him back from winning it again. So I'll also go with Trevor Lawrence. He would have been my second pick in this case, and I think even if we look at the betting odds, I think his odds are really good, and I'd take that value any day.
So not Herbert, not
No,
Joey, not Josh.
nope. I think I'd go with T-Law. Because Burrow, I mean, with the health, we don't know. Josh Allen is a little bit too wishy-washy. We don't know how he's going to play this year. It's going to be Lawrence, because if you're looking for a true breakout, he's already had it technically, but I think this is just one step forward or one step up on the ladder. So if we're just following that trajectory, I think Lawrence is the pick that I would make. So while I do want to say Mahomes, I think voter fatigue will hit, and I think this is T-Law's year to win it.
Yeah, so if I title this T-Law wins the 2023 MVP, is that gonna do him dirty? Like that's obviously the video, the Wentz one that
You title the videos, you can do whatever you want. It's just
man, I
more,
don't
it's
know.
more ammo.
Well, you'll see the title when you're watching this, but like yeah, I'm right now I'm torn on what I want to do, but yeah, I guess we both went T-Law, which I guess I'm kind of surprised about. But yeah, I mean, I think everybody who's watched this pod for maybe more than a month knows that this was kind of set in stone for me. So there you go. There you have it. There's our award predictions. Yeah. All right, weekly picks, dude. I have been waiting for this for so long. It's like one of my favorite segments. I don't know. I think it's just always cool to predict these games and see how we did. Can we please tell the audience who is the champion, Shriek?
From
Who's
when? From 2 years ago was me.
No, from last year. Because I can tell them. I can
Last
tell.
year, I don't remember actually.
Well, I'll tell you all. It was lo and behold me, of course. Yeah, it was me in first. Shriek came in second. Jamicki was like really close, but then he sold. So yeah. Jamaica was last, and you fans were third. So let's see if you guys can come back and be better. Step up, fans. Like, I mean, we're trying to help you guys out, giving you the information.
You
So,
just told our favorite people to do better. How do you feel about that?
well, I mean, they can just listen to me, and you guys can win again, right? Like, well, we'll tie for first, but yeah, as long as Shrikar is not first. All right. Well, Shrik, you want to highlight it?
As
you
long
always
as long as Streetcar's not first is famous last words if I've ever heard him. Uh, I'm ready to get started. Let's go straight to Thursday night football. The first game of the season, Lions Chiefs. What an opener, okay? Right off the bat, lots of hype around the Lions. Pretty complete team. I'm expecting a big step up. However, this is a very tough draw for Detroit. If they win this game, sets a great tone for the rest of the year, right? But I got to go with the favorite. I got to go with the Chiefs, the defending champs. I think the Lions do play them close, but I just don't. If it does get into a shootout, they're not going to beat Patrick Mahomes and this offense in a shootout in Arrowhead, right? And anyways, if it came down to the final drive, you know who I'm taking. Not the Cal alum.
Darn it.
But yeah, Chiefs is the pick here to open this.
All right, yeah, I'll keep it short and sweet, kind of. I mean, you're right. I mean, I think I pretty much agree with everything you just said. I will say this though. I mean, Chris Jones not being there, at least think like Goff when he's not pressured is one of the 5 most accurate quarterbacks by passer rating. So, I mean, it's like, if they can't get to him, then he'll probably have a pretty decent day. They're gonna pack this out. I mean, like Arrowhead goes crazy. I mean, they were packed out for the preseason game against the Browns. Like, they're gonna be packed out for this thing. Yeah. So the home field advantage is definitely there. I do think Chris Jones not being there will be a little bit of a factor, but they still had 9 rookies last year who all were impactful on this team. So Karlaftis is going to have to step up. That's going to be my X factor for this game. I'm hoping Kadarius Toney will play. I don't think he will. It's like really close because he did tear his meniscus a few weeks ago. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs as well. You can't really bet against Week 1 Patrick Mahomes, who has yet to lose in Week 1 and is literally the greatest Week 1 quarterback like ever. Like his stats are just unreal. But yeah, so I'm gonna roll with that, and I'm gonna take Mahomes in the opener.
All right, we will go down south to Atlanta, Georgia, the Panthers and the Falcons in a divisional matchup, NFC South, one that could have implications down the road too. I'm gonna let you start on this because I went first on the last one.
Oh man,
this is a tough game.
It's funny because in my playoff predictors, I think when I recorded it all those weeks ago, I had the Panthers winning it. But that is before DJ Chark went down. So also Brian Burns wasn't at practice. He'll still play. But it really just comes down to like, do I trust what Bryce and all are able to do, or do I trust Desmond Ridder and that Falcons offense? This one I think is like an absolute toss-up. I think this is probably one of the more unpredictable games of Week 1. And you know what? I'm gonna roll with my gut and still take the Panthers. I think again that's maybe a little bit of my Frank Reich bias talking, but I think they're gonna do just enough to outplay Ridder. I think they're going to have the ball in Ridder's hands, and we just don't really know much about it. But from what we've seen, we don't really expect him to make those type of plays when the game kind of comes in crunch time. So for that reason, I will take the Panthers even without DJ Chark.
Yeah, this is a really tough game to pick. New starting QBs on both sides. The Falcons have a good roster. I really like what they did this offseason. I mean, obviously for Desmond Ridder, the weapons, the O-line, like it's there. I'll go with Atlanta. I think it's pretty much a coin flip because here's the thing. I feel like game planning against Carolina Week 1 is pretty difficult. Obviously with a new coach and a new quarterback, but Frank Reich has never had a quarterback like Bryce Young. So I have no idea what to expect there if I'm a defense. And also the same goes for the Panthers defense. This is a Giro Evero's defense. A new coordinator steps in. What does the complexion of that unit look like? So, and to combat that, the Panthers are more familiar with Arthur Smith's style. So I think the Falcons are going to win this game if the ground game gets rolling with Bijan and Algier. So I'll count on that happening. And I think I'll take Atlanta in this one.
Yeah.
Bengals
Quick note.
Browns. Oh, yeah, what's up?
Quick note. I wanted to go quick note. The Panthers run a lot of tight, which is like very bunch formations. They're kind of in, right? They don't really put their players on the outside. So I think that's going to be pretty decent matchup against the Falcons because they want you to play a little bit spread. So I think that actually favors the Panthers. But yeah, you'll see. Like again, this is just going to be a unique way or a unique offense that the Falcons really haven't played against. So and yeah, these two teams always play each other tough. So yeah, that just a quick note.
All right, do you want to start off Bengals Browns?
I'll let you do it. I'll take my sweet time.
Okay, well, to any Bengals fans watching this video, I'm picking your team to win to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I'll get that out of the way right now.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
But I think the Browns are winning this game.
All right.
I think the Browns are going to win this game. I think
Well,
for the season, I think the Browns are going to exceed expectations. Over the summer, I think I've gotten higher and higher on the Browns as the summer went on. Great O-line, great run game. We knew that. I think Deshaun Watson is going to return to form. Solid defense, should get better with new coaching. Love the Zadarius Smith pickup. Dalvin Tomlinson, another great pickup. We touched on those in awards. And also the Bengals, I'm not saying this is a year-by-year trend because it's not. But last year the Bengals were pretty slow out the gates. And I think that same thing is going to happen here, and especially in front of the dog pound in Cleveland. I got to go with the Browns here. And I know you'll bring up the track record of the Bengals and Browns as well.
what? You didn't want to mention that Burrow's 1-4 against him? I guess
I'd give that to you. I give that to you.
I'm such a yeah, it's funny because I'm such a big Burrow guy, but yeah, I think the Browns have done really well against him, and that's probably the only thing Joe Woods had going for him. But yeah, this is going to be a new defense. I've liked what I've seen from the ones in preseason, so yeah, because obviously we're talking to the #1 Browns fan here. Like, I mean, there's not a lot of us, so you got to kind of rep us well. Or sorry, I got to kind of rep us well. Yeah. So just quick notes on a couple things. Yeah, I mean, Joey B was back at practice. I was never concerned about his calf thing. Like, I think people blew that up a little bit too much. But yeah, as you said, last week one, Cincinnati looked rusty, and I think. Look, they don't have they're having two new starting safeties, right? Like Dax Hill is going to have to play a lot more, and then I think they're also playing Lewis Cine. So, or sorry, not Cine. I'm forgetting the other guy, but also Chidobe Awuzie is not there. So, their secondary is going to be a little bit weak, and I think an X factor for the Browns is going to be Elijah Moore. I think he's got to get involved if the Browns want to do anything offensively. So, yeah, I mean, what are we going to see from Deshaun? I think Rich Eisen pointed it best. Deshaun is literally the NFL shrug quarterback. You know that emoji? Like this one? That's literally him. I think we don't know if he's going to be really good, he's going to be just enough, or is he going to be bad, right? Like, I think he could literally be anywhere on the scale of, like, the quarterback spectrum. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm also going to pick us. I really thought you were going to go Cincy, and I was going to be like, nope, I'm riding with my team here. But yeah, the Browns, aside from last year, had not won a week one game since 2005. So I'm hoping they continue the trend and win one in week one again. But yeah, obviously Cincinnati is not going to be a team you want to mess with moving forward.
All right, let's go to Jaguars Colts. Do you want to start here?
Yeah, I'll take it. I mean, where I've got Jacksonville anyway. So yeah, I think Jacksonville comes out the gate, wins this game. It's funny because they always play them tight, and I think the Colts are going to be hard to game plan. They would have been a lot harder to game plan for if Jonathan Taylor was there in a Shane Steichen offense, but he's not. So yeah, I think just off pure momentum, and I think the Jags honestly have a way better offensive roster. I'm gonna go with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I think their defense is gonna be a lot better. So yeah.
There's always that one game in week one.
No way. You doing it?
I'm not gonna do it.
Oh, come on.
But okay, Anthony Richardson's gonna be starting, and if I use that Panthers Falcons argument, we have no idea what to expect from this new battery. Obviously, Shane Steichen there as well. I think as far as this season goes, because I haven't really talked about him, Anthony Richardson, I think he'll have some splash plays. He'll definitely have his growing pains. it's just going to be kind of like a Josh Allen sort of thing, which is kind of the case for a lot of guys with that sort of athleticism nowadays. But I think the Colts could play spoiler a lot this season, actually. I think there's a good shot. But in this game, I feel like it'll be high scoring. I think both teams are going to put up points. I'm just iffy on the Colts defense here. I think that's where the Jaguars are going to take advantage. But yeah, I'll take the Jaguars. It's just tough to game plan for the Colts right away, which is why I was thinking about going with that upset. But who knows? Maybe on Sunday, you might see me go into our little spreadsheet and pick the Colts. You never know. But Jaguars is the pick for right now.
All right. Yeah,
Bucks Vikings. Bucks Vikings. I'll go first for this one. I'm going with Minnesota at home. This is a tough spot for the Bucks. Pretty good roster, but I think O-line is an issue. Obviously, Baker's a question mark. And in this game, I don't think Baker can keep up with what the Vikings offense will produce. So, look, and it's also the first test for Brian Flores with this Vikings defense. If Baker goes off, I don't know how good that looks for your first game as Vikings defensive coordinator, but I'll go with Minnesota here. I think the Bucks are just in a very bad spot.
I thought Flores was the linebacker coach, no? Or is he the full DC?
He's the DC. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So I actually think this is the one game that is like, if any big upset is going to happen, I think it's going to be this one. So yeah, I mean, look, obviously we know my thoughts on Baker. I think this is interesting just because the Vikings defense is definitely a lot worse than it was last year, and they were already pretty bad. The only reason I think I'm probably going to stay with Minnesota for right now is the fact that week 1 last year, they were just on par offensively. Like, they were just clicking. And I think Addison's going to be huge for them. So, yeah, Addison and Madison are the 2 X factors for him. But yeah, I'm going to go with Minnesota here. I really wish, if it was in Tampa, I think it would have been a different story. But that Skull fan base is really up there. So, you never know, but I do think if any game is going to happen, it's going to be this one. And it's funny because I'll just throw it back to 2021 when the Vikings played the Bengals. It's funny because that was my lock of the week. That was the year, obviously, they bursted onto the scene, and they won. So don't count it as a lock, boys. Let's just wait. Just wait.
All right, Titans Saints in the Dome. I'll let you start here.
Yeah, this one's going to be, I think, a feel-out game for both teams. But I'm going to roll with the Saints, and I'll just keep it a little bit short. I think the reason for that is I think the Saints have looked good in preseason, at least from the tape I've watched. And I think for Mike Vrabel's unit, like, I think you're just going to have a lot of growing pains at that receiver spot, right? Like, who's really going to be the wide receiver 2? Is Hopkins really back, right? Because I guess on paper this team is still good. It's just really old in the sense that, like, there's not really a lot of young pieces I'm like really excited about. So I mean, I guess if Jeffrey Simmons still counts as a young guy, I don't really think so. So like, yeah, I mean, I think this is like, again, like as I think I said in the earlier episode with Donnie, this is like a very mediocre team. Like, and I think since the Saints have more upside, it's in the Dome, in the Superdome. So I'll go with the Saints for that.
I think the Titans will be slightly above average. I feel like they're always just slightly above average. I mean, this team was a Josh Dobbs game out of the playoffs, right? So I think with the Saints, I originally had the Panthers winning the NFC South. I was kind of confident in it. But now I'm starting to feel like the Saints are going to win this division. I feel like I've been sleeping on them. I think a healthy Saints team is a great team. This is also Derek Carr's debut in the Superdome. If I go back last year, Titans started slow. Lots of turnover this offseason with Tennessee. I think it's going to take some time for them to truly like settle in. It's not going to piece together right away, even with DeAndre Hopkins. So I'll go with the Saints in their home debut, or Derek Carr's home debut. But yeah, I think the Titans could be a little bit frisky. I wouldn't write them off as mediocre just yet.
I think like mediocre in the sense I think they're going to be around eight wins. Like that's sure. I think that's their like I just don't think they have a high ceiling, and I don't think they have a high floor or low ceiling. That's like what they are. I think that's kind of how I see them. But the 7 games that they won when they were 7-3, if you look back on them, not as impressive as I thought earlier. But yeah, I think we're both in par with the Saints here.
All right. Let's go to the Niners and the Steelers. I'll start here. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the Niners this year. I really do. Because why shouldn't I, right?
Yeah.
Why? Like, I have no reason not to like them.
You're also a fan of them.
The Steelers are winning this game. Now, it is a coin flip for me. I feel like, I don't know, I'm getting weird, like, last year's Bears game kind of vibe, Brock Purdy versus Kenny Pickett, a battle of two 2022 QBs. I think this is going to be a defensive battle, though, the whole way. And if it really came down to that, Mike Tomlin is going to have a good game plan, right? Will the Niners O-line be able to hold up against the Steelers D-line? And same goes for vice versa, right? I trust the Steelers defense slightly more because there's the looming question of Nick Bosa.
Interesting.
I'm saying if Bosa doesn't play, I'm going Pittsburgh. If he does play, this makes it a little bit more interesting and I might switch my pick. But as of right now, I could totally see this as a game where Kenny Pickett just gets so much hype, just like Justin Fields did last year, because he beat the Niners defense. So I'll go ahead and pencil in Steelers for right now.
Pencil in the Pennsylvania team for me too. I'm taking the Steelers. A little bit different though. Like, yeah, I actually think Kenny Pickett is good. And he was my QB1.
He's impressed me. He's impressed me.
Yeah.
He's looking really good. Okay.
You should talk to 2022 Shrikar and maybe tell him that. But yeah, no, I think Pickett's gonna be good. I think the Steelers are gonna win this game. I think it's, as you said, yeah, it's like a 19-16 type of ball game. But yeah, like the thing with Brock Purdy too was like, he led the league in passer rating for those 9 games, right? Like I think that's gonna come down a little bit. And yeah, going to play. I mean, I can't even remember the last time the Niners have opened at home. They were at Detroit in 21. They were at Chicago in 22.
They don't open at home because the weather is hot. Believe it or not, that's literally the reason why.
Oh, really?
Levi Stadium has a.
Have they ever opened a week 1 game?
In the Levi Stadium era, they haven't. It's like a deal they've made that they don't open the season at home because of overheating. A fan has died because of the heat. Like he had a stroke. So
very interesting.
Always opening on the road.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, that's why I was like, yeah, I can't remember the last time the Niners have actually opened it, but yeah, I'm gonna go with the Steelers too, primarily with a lot of what you said, and yeah, I think Pickett just makes an extra play.
All right, Cardinals Commanders. I got the Commanders in DC. Much better defense. They're at home. The enemy's first game. Another thing is gonna be tough to game plan against that. Sam Howell is a question, but it's almost like it's a good question in the sense that you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Here's the thing: if Kyler was playing, I think I'd take Arizona. But with it coming down to Josh Dobbs or Clayton Tune, I can't do that. So give me the Commanders.
Yeah, a lot of love for Josh Dobbs. He was a Browns quarterback for a little bit. But yeah, no, give me the Commanders here. I think. Look, they were an 8-1 team last year with a lot of turmoil during the year, right? So, this team shouldn't really be ignored. And yeah, I think this defense is really good. So, yeah, give me the Commanders here to win this game.
All right, Texans, Ravens in Baltimore. Start us off.
All right, yeah, I think we can pencil in a week 1 Ravens team that I can't remember the last time they've lost an opener. So, yeah, Ravens winning this one. It seems like the Ravens always get an easy matchup first week of the year. It's so unfair. Like, remember when they dropped 59 on the literally, I think the worst roster I think I ever saw assembled in 2019.
They had the Jets last year, right? Yeah.
I think they did. Like, it's so unfair. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a tough spot for Houston. You're going up against a healthy Ravens team. This is not a team you wanted to see week 1. I think the Texans could be tough because I'll keep this argument going. New battery, QB head coach. The game plan, right? What's it going to be? But also for the Ravens, it's Todd Monken at OC. So new looks. I can't bet against a healthy Ravens squad in week 1. I'll say this is a high scoring game. I think the Texans will put up points. maybe not exactly a shootout, but I think Houston will at least flash some potential. I don't think this is going to be like a downright like beating, right? But
Interesting. Okay.
these are games that the Ravens just don't lose, and I'll stick with Baltimore. All right, Packers Bears in Chicago, big rivalry, historic rivalry. Pretty good draw for Green Bay. I'm not gonna lie. I the Bears have arguably the worst pass rush in football, so that should make life easier for Jordan Love. He'll have time to make plays. The Packers have a good run game. I hope they lean on it more this year. Last year, they were kind of shying away from it, and I think that was one of the reasons they underperformed. The Bears also just can't stop the run, so I'd hope Jones and Dillon get a lot of work. Here's the thing, though. The Bears are at home. It's a new look offense. Fields, he could take the step up. He might be tough to deal with. But I think if Green Bay just forces Fields to win from the pocket and just be pass first, if Fields doesn't use his legs, I think Jordan Love will outduel him. And it's a fun matchup, though. It's a fun matchup, but give me the Packers here.
Yeah, this one's going to turn a lot of heads. I think this one will sway either way, right? If the Bears win it, then the hype's going to kind of start surrounding them. If the Packers win it, then the question comes around, can they still make the playoffs even without Aaron Rodgers? I think offensive player-wise, personnel-wise, I think they're pretty even actually. Defensively, I think the Packers are much better. And this is so tough because the Bears are at home, so that thing is going to kind of be, that home field advantage is kind of be a factor, especially in a rivalry like this. But yeah, it's a new era for both teams, right? We're so, we've seen many different Bears quarterbacks, and then for the Packers, we've only really seen one. So it's a new era for kind of, the NFC North. That being said, yeah, this one is honestly the hardest one to pick.
Wow, you think so?
This one is, I think, the hardest. This one probably, yeah. This one or the Panthers-Falcons one for sure. I'm probably gonna go. Okay. The reason I'm gonna go with this team is I think, I just think it's gonna click, and you know what? I'll take the Bears at home.
Okay, that is the second game that we've differed on so far, actually.
And it's the two games I think we're unsure.
It's coin flips.
Yep.
All right, let's go to the Raiders and the Broncos. It's funny you said that last game was the toughest game to pick, because Raiders Broncos is the toughest game for me to pick. I genuinely don't. It's in Denver, right? Both offenses were underwhelming last year, but the Broncos defense is a lot better than the Raiders defense. It's obvious. Broncos are at home, mile high altitude. It's always going to be an argument here. I think what this comes down to is I'm not sure if Russell Wilson picks up Sean Payton's offense right away. Jimmy Garoppolo has familiarity with Josh McDaniels, more familiarity with McDaniels than Russ with Payton, right? So this is a really tough game. I'll go with the Raiders because I feel like Jimmy is going to be more prepared than Russ. But
darn, I thought I was gonna be solo on that. Okay.
Nah, but yeah, I'm going with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think for those who follow our Instagram, you saw that. Look, I think people are too low on the Raiders. Why? Right? They had 4 losses, or sorry, 4 or more games where they were up 13 plus and they lost. 3 games they were up 17 plus. So situationally they were just horrible, but they still put up points, and they still have the same offense with just Jimmy instead of Derek Carr and Jacoby Myers instead of Mac Hollins, which I think is an upgrade, right? I think we can all agree. So yeah, this team will find a way to score. They will always put up points. I think that's the thing that people are underestimating. And sure, the defense is, again, really not much to be wowed at, but it's still got some playmakers, right? Nate Hobbs is pretty good. Merrick coming in for his 3rd year. Why not? Why can't he break out? This team has some decent pieces, and I think for that, I'm gonna take the Raiders here, and the reason why they've swept Denver last two or 3 years. And yeah, the Broncos with Sean Payton's offense, Jerry Jeudy's probably not gonna play. And you're gonna rely on Sutton and Marvin Mims, who's I believe 5'9", 5'10", to play outside. Can you really do that? So yeah, give me the Raiders here, and but again, as you said, yeah, this is probably the third hardest game to pick for me, just because it's such an even matchup in a way. But yeah, for those who are saying the Raiders are going to get the number 1 overall pick, I heavily disagree.
Number 1?
Yeah, I
Oh,
heavily
it won't be
disagree.
that bad.
I heavily disagree with that. So
I haven't seen anyone say the Raiders are getting the
a
number
lot
1
of people say that. Dude, I think they get like 6 to 7 wins, like 6 probably, but yeah.
Number 1 is even top 5 is wild. All right, Eagles Patriots in New England. I'll let you start this one off. But I think
give me Philly. I think the only thing is like Pats have too many questions at receiver. That O-line is sneaky good, but I think Philly's D-line is just going to cause havoc for Mac Jones. And yeah, this is such a well-coached team. I don't really see them losing, even though it's on the road to New England. But if New England does win, I mean, it's going to bring up questions for both sides. I think New England's always going to be in that conversation. Again, I think they're going to be around 8-9 wins anyway. But yeah, give me Philly here.
I'm going to go with the Eagles, but I think this is pretty tough, honestly, for me. I think the Pats will be better than people think, especially Mac Jones. I love the Bill O'Brien hiring. I think I
do too.
Mm-hmm. I'm not even that high on Mac Jones in previous seasons, but this year I think he's going to take a step up. A Bill Belichick coach defense is always good, right? Dealing with Jalen Hurts is tough, though. The Pats generally struggle with running QBs. I think this is a shootout, though. Losing Jonathan Gannon is big. Defense still has talent. I still think it may take a couple of weeks to adjust. So that could be something that's susceptible for the Patriots to attack. But yeah, I think I'll go with the Eagles here. But I think the Pats are going to play it closer than people may think.
I think the Gannon departure is not as big. I think because they got Sean Desai, who ran a similar scheme in Seattle to what the Eagles did before Pete Carroll switched back to a 3-4. So yeah, I think actually not as big of a loss, but yeah, I think we're both agreeing Philly's going to win.
All right, Dolphins Chargers in LA. Tough draw for the Chargers. I mean, this is a healthy Dolphins team. Herbert can be elite at any given time. And obviously people are going to play up that storyline of Tua versus Herbert because they do it all the time. But Chargers run defense is not good, to put it kindly. But the problem is Miami abandoned the run last year. I don't know what the game plan is heading into this game. I hope they go to the run, but I feel like they've committed to being a pass-first offense. I really want to pick the Dolphins because I love the Fangio hire. I'll go with the Chargers. I think my gut is saying Chargers, but like I really should be taking the Dolphins. But yeah, I don't know. Something is telling me that the Chargers are going to win this at home.
Are we sure it's a Chargers home game?
No, like, it's gonna be
I think Miami fans are gonna pack it. Yeah, so I originally in my playoff predictors, I'm pretty sure I had the Chargers winning this game. I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna take Miami. And the biggest reason for that is, look, I just think, how are you stopping, this passing offense when it's healthy, right? Like, I think they're gonna be so effective. And then, yeah, defensively, they were sneaky good the first few weeks. I mean, they held, obviously the Ravens one was a shootout, but like Buffalo, they held to 19. The Pats, they held to 7, right? And like Fangio, as you mentioned, was a pretty good hire. I am a little concerned that Jalen Ramsey isn't there, but he wasn't there last year anyway. So, but yeah, this game, I think also kind of a 50-51. Week 1's definitely provided us with some good matchups where it's like,
this is a good slate.
Yeah, this is a really good slate. But yeah, give me the Dolphins in this one.
All right, Rams Seahawks in Seattle. Maybe some contingency on Cooper Kupp. I'll see what your pick is, and we'll go off that.
Yeah, Kupp or not, I think Seattle wins this game. Look, I love the Rams probably more than 90% of people.
More than Rams fans.
Yeah, okay, maybe not them, but I'm a Sean McVay guy through and through. I'm a Cooper Kupp guy through and through, and it just sucks that he's injured. Like, he's probably one of my like 5 favorite players in the league, and it's like, man, I think he's so good. But yeah, that being said, Seattle is gonna win this. They have the best secondary in the league, in my opinion, top to bottom, even though Jamal Adams wouldn't play. And Yeah, offensively, let's see how it works with JSN because he did fracture his either finger or his wrist. I can't remember. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually do run as many 11 personnel packages as they plan to with a healthy JSN. So that's going to be interesting, and also how they work in Charbonnet with Kenneth Walker. I'm excited to see that. But yeah, give me Seattle here.
If Cup plays, I actually think this is going to be a shootout. The problem is the Rams just lost so much on defense. It's kind of crazy to say that the Hawks have a better defense than the Rams, because if we think back to the last like few years, I would have never thought I'd be saying that. But I'll take the Hawks in a tight game depending on Cup. If Cup's not there, obviously the margin goes a little bit wider, but I think if Cup does play, I think the Rams will keep this close. It's a divisional battle, but 12th man is always going to be there too. So I'll go with the Hawks. Cowboys Giants on Sunday Night Football in New York. This is a good game for Sunday Night Football. The Cowboys, I think, should have a top 3 defense. I think they have one of, if not the best secondary in football. Crazy crowd in New York, though. I mean, Giants fans are going to go crazy for this one. Ultimately, though, I'll take the boys. I think the defense is going to be too much for Daniel Jones, coupled with that high-powered offense that Dak's going to be running. I think he'll get back on track in this game. Yeah, nothing more to say. I got Dallas.
I mean, I'm not as high on Dak as you are, but yeah, I think the Cowboys win this game. I think they're just a better team, better roster. So yeah, I'll take the boys. It's funny. I think Dallas like has been like the week 1 Sunday night game for like, I don't know, the last like 3 years or something. That's all I can remember. So, or at least they played primetime week 1. Yeah, they played the Bucks that 2021 season. They played the Bucks again in 2022. But yeah, they're playing the Giants this time. Yeah, give me the Dallas Cowboys, but it's gonna be interesting to see the Giants. I'm just not as sure about because it's like they did well last year, and everyone's expecting a downfall, but like they got better. So it's like I think people are just like, oh, other teams in the NFC have been better. So, or it's like, oh, it was kind of more fluky, but. Yeah, I'm really kind of just unsure about the Giants, except I am sure about Daniel Jones being there now for the next 4 years, so I'm happy about that.
All right, let's go to what I think is the best game of the week, Monday Night Football, Bills at Jets. This is a really interesting game. No Leslie Frazier for the Bills. Who knows how it's going to impact the defense. The Jets, I mean, let's say it this way, both of these teams are going to be juggernauts in the AFC, right? The Bills add Dalton Kincaid, maybe some different looks on offense with 2 tight ends. Maybe we see an adjustment period for Aaron Rodgers. Do we think he's going to come firing right out the gates in a new system after a down year? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. It's tough to deal with Allen too. This is 50-50. I think this pick could change. I'm gonna go with the Jets.
Interesting.
However, it's mainly because they're at home. But how much of a home field advantage really is it?
They'll have one. Yeah, they'll have a home field for sure.
Buffalo's right here, so I mean,
I think they'll pack it out though.
But yeah, I mean, overall, I just gotta say I love this week 1 slate. I think in terms of entertainment, this is about as good as it gets. So I'll go with the Jets to cap week 1 of picks.
I actually don't think it's 50-50. I don't even think it's that much of a 50. I'm going with the Bills. And look, it's not even that I'm not high on the Jets. I have them in the playoffs right now. And they look good in the only drive we saw Aaron Rodgers. But yeah, the reason I'm going with the Bills is, again, the whole sense of familiarity. I also don't know how the Jets are going to use Dalvin and Brees, how they're going to run that system. Are they going to do 2 RB sets like they did? Or like Hackett did in Green Bay. So a little bit uncertainty there. And then, yeah, I mean, obviously I think both defenses are really good. But I think the Bills, just that, familiarity, and they're running kind of the same unit back with a couple more additions. Obviously Von Miller not being there is going to be huge, especially because he would have torched Max Mitchell, or I think they're running Becton out there. He would have killed both. They got so lucky with that. I think they should be thanking their lucky stars that Von Miller is not playing, because if he was playing, I think this would have been even worse than what I think it's going to be. But yeah, give me the Bills in a 7 to a 10 point game. All right, so that is going to do it for our awards and weekly picks. It just feels so good to be back. Obviously, for more content, check out our Instagram, our TikTok. It'll be in the link. All the links will be in the description. But yeah, we've been the Cold Hard Truth NFL podcast. Thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys next time.